Hello everyone, my name is Rishikesh Nare and we welcome you to our special series, The Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. It's an initiative by ETH. The key to cutting chai conversation is to have a good discussion around the areas of your early life, education to grooming, training, business sense, skill augmentation to work-life balance. And before we begin, let me set the context right. As I mentioned, Cutting Chai is a series of candid conversations. So we're not going to talk about anything business. Some bits here and there, some advice from our inspirational leaders, but not the office staff. It's going to be a candid conversation around where we take you through the inspirational journeys of influential people. You all have seen these personalities in the corporate world, but we are taking them away from the boardroom drama to have some fun chat around their personal life and their hobbies and everything. So today we have with us Mr. Khushru and Mistry, who is the CIO and SVP IT at Eureka Forbes. So Khushru, thank you so much. First, thanks for your valuable time. And again, I will say it's very difficult to get some time in this virtual world. We are sitting, away from the offices. We are sitting away from places, cities. But thanks for the technology that we can interact and do many things. I mean, we had run businesses, doing all these interactions. So let's not waste time and let's jump to the conclusion or the point. Or please let us know. I mean, tell us that how was your childhood? What things you've been doing as a kid? Were you the same Khushru with this cute little smile, childlike aura, or you were different back then?
Childhood was, I would say, thanks to my parents, was a fun childhood, completely fun childhood. The school was one of the best I attended. Okay. Significant amount of sporting activity in school. So I would say a fun, completely, I would say error-free childhood. Okay, right. So I had a lot of fun when I was a kid, and I sometimes reverberate back to my childhood days to say, when can we get the good old days back sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, now I feel that, when everybody says as they grow old, they say that, a childhood was the best time that you could spend. I did not realize this fact, but now I think for the last 5 years, now I understand the meaning and the importance of it, because office and home and other things, there's so many things. Like when we were child, like all of us, when in our childhood days, the one part was missing, that the sense of responsibility. Okay,
True.
we're free to do so many things, whatever we want. As a child, you were a studious guy, or you were someone who would do mischievous things, but nobody could ever caught you, something like that?
No, I was extremely interested in sports. Okay, specifically track and field. And that was one of the things which actually, to a large extent, also molded the way I am today. Because sports has always been a very critical part of my, I would say, upbringing, and also the creation of a character. So rather than just saying that, the schooling life, the parental life, okay, was more or less carefree, and I was able to do a lot of sporting activities, which, thinking back, it actually nurtures the way I am today.
I mean, finally, I got someone who would strongly believe in sports, and rightly mentioned. You said that it helped you to get a better character, or a different personality that help you to achieve things. And what you're today, I mean, you've achieved something, and we are having this conversation just because of your achievements. I don't know how do I correlate, because usually when people say sports, people in India we say cricket. We say other games like say hockey could be a second. But when I was doing a bit of research about you, I mean, you have keen interest in golf.
That's
and
right.
From golf to motorsports, I mean, it's a different, I would say it's a two different corners of the world, if I may say, because very few people, because people think that, golf, it's a boring game. People say that, no, something like cricket, football, they give you that rush, and then that's how the fan base is so big. But I have seen a couple of matches, and golf, I've tried playing in some of the controlled environment. I'm telling you, cricket cricket is easy. Yeah, you can do things. You can start with your bat and ball, but golf, you need so many things like coordination, hand and eye coordination. You have to actually, consider the wind speed and the direction. That's something, fascinating. So, please, we all are interested, and we are excited to understand the logic behind this wide spectrum of yours, where you talk about golf to motorsport.
So golf was a activity which I took up when I was, in fact, I was posted to Dubai for about 3 years from my previous company, which was HSBC. So to a large extent, I took up golf in Dubai. And the reason that happened in Dubai is because they have something called night golf. So you finish your work and then you go onto the golf course and it's night golf. So it's really exciting because during the day it's so hot. You can't, and when you actually get onto the golf, even if you're just taking your strokes, okay, it is so, I would say, the tensions all disappear, right? So it was a very good way of understanding, okay, the hand coordination, the mind coordination, the wind coordination. And when you actually get onto the putting range, or including the driving range, and having a game or two, right, during the week, it actually calms you to an extent that when you get, and it's a great exercise because you're walking, all right?
Right.
You're walking a very long distance in golf. So it is an exercise, it's a coordination of your mind, actually, I would say even soul and body. And then you come out of that feeling completely refreshed. So even if you had a hard day at work, okay, that evening experience would entirely invigorate you back to do something more in that evening also. So I think that is something which I've kept on. Unfortunately, in India, once I'm back in India, that has gone a little bit wayward right now. But I do intend to start it again, all right? Because the work-life balance out here in India is a little bit different than the rest of the world where I've been. So I think golf is a great sport. Yeah, people do consider it boring, but until you start playing it, okay, initially it's frustrating because the ball will just, there's no coordination. But once you know how it works, okay, it's an excellent sport. I have not known anybody who has given up golf once they have started.
No, because another factor that, when I played a bit of it, everything, okay, now you understand the elevation, you understand everything, but the surface is not flat. Okay.
True.
When you go closer to the, the I don't know, what do we call it? The pot or the final hole.
The putting green, yeah.
The puddle. Yeah. It's around that puddle, the elevation is different from all the corners. And then you think, so again, your mind is working, your body is working, and then a margin of error is extremely narrow. And that same goes with motorsports. So, tell us your interest area in motorsports. Again, golf is more calm. Someone who can manage the patience level, and someone who can keep his mind, calm. That everything golf resonates with that. But motorsports, and I know that one of your relatives, he's playing into Formula 2. It's a quite achievement, and it's my honor because I'm talking to you, and I'm going to flaunt this part. Like, I know someone whose relative is playing into Formula 2 series. So tell us about the motorsport and the rush that goes behind racing.
Yes, my nephew is an F2 Formula 2 racer today, Jehan Darawala. And I'm hoping that he gets into Formula 1 very shortly, perhaps. And he was chosen 1 in a billion to be part of the team. So, of course, now he's part of the Red Bull racing team, which is a great honor. But when you actually get onto the track, and I've had the instances where I've been lucky enough to get onto the track, get into the pits, actually see him race. Of course, there were 2 also incidences, a funny incident where I sat in the seat and I couldn't get out. Okay. And it's so narrow, it's so low. But when you see them racing at 300 kilometers an hour, okay, and they whiz past you, okay, it's an exact sport. There is no room for error. Okay, and at such a young age, 16 to 21. He's 21 right now, but to see him racing at that level of speed, okay. Of course, there were accidents also, but having seen him in Germany, okay, it is mind-boggling of how a young person at that age, 16, 17 to 21, can race at that speed without a margin of error. Okay, so it's an exact sport. It's like better than perfection. If you are not perfect, you can't win.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that, and people don't understand the G-force part of it. It's a different different space altogether. I mean,
absolutely.
We will not survive in not even for 5 minutes in that car.
No, I don't think so. At the cornering speeds with 5Gs, we will basically blank out.
Yeah.
And they train very hard to do that. And I've seen his training schedules, his dietitians who actually make sure that they have, because they almost lose about 4 kilos per race, all right, because of water, right? So they lose a lot of, so it's all blood, sweat, and tears. But ultimately, once you get that F1, it's a moment of truth, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you were explaining and describing Jehan's achievement, I was getting goosebumps because I want our driver to be there in the Red Bull team and to be on the podium, because I want to hear that national anthem very soon. Yeah, and that's in the radar, and that's in the range right now, because the kind of improvement that he's doing. So again, we'll go back to these two sports. What, I mean, typical question. Tell us the 3 characteristics that someone can harness from these sports, but not 3. You can say 2, 1, or multiple.
See, golf makes you learn the precision of detail, and so does motorsport. Okay, in a professional life, right? Now, I'm giving you the correlationship between the two. Of course, F1 racing is about perfection. Nobody can reach that. You've got to be, in my opinion, the 12 out of the 7 billion people on this earth to be in that category. So, that's about perfection. But golf actually teaches you calmness. It teaches you how to get rid of your tensions. Okay, it teaches you attention to detail. Okay, so I think all of that ultimately creates a culture within you. Okay, of ensuring that even if everything around you is falling apart, right, you still have to keep your head calm and ensure that you're doing the right things all the time. Okay, and that is where I think the very nature of the corporate world comes in. All right. In today's day and age, you have to go do the right things. Right. Even if the world right next to you is telling you no, and if you know it's right, okay, because 2 wrongs don't make a right, it makes a bigger wrong. So I think it cultivates the person, okay, and as I said, I've been lucky enough to be part of all of these things, and I think that's what creates the culture of the person. And I'm happy to say, I'm hoping that I'm creating that culture across, the community, the industry, and the corporate life.
That's a very good piece. I'm going to just cut that piece and put it out there with some quotes, because I understand the importance of quote. Most of the people, they understand, but it has to go out, and people should start playing more games, be it indoor, outdoors. Just do your physical bit. Since we spoke about that how sports helps you to get your corporate journey a bit easy. It makes it easy. Your corporate journey, you traveled 53 countries. I mean, that's not possible. I don't agree to it. I'm going to come to your place. I'm going to check your passport. But how was that experience? Because it's I cannot right now. If you ask me, I can't take those names. 53 countries, I can't name it right now. But you've been to. So, what is the cultural difference as I've been to a couple of countries. I see a lot of cultural difference in the way they work, the way they interact, the way they communicate things. It's quite different. You have an experience of 53 countries. Please tell us how the cultural involvement plays role into day-to-day life.
I'll just take a step back. I think, again, I'll say with having started my career in Hong Kong, Okay, I've been lucky enough to travel the world, okay, with multiple companies. And, uh, having worked in all of these countries, as I said, 53 was the last count. Um, and there is a vast difference in the way people handle things. Um, if you look at the Far East, for example, in Taiwan and in Korea, South Korea, okay, the fact of the matter is from the time you land there to the time you do a contract, okay, it's a different thing. I had to basically, it's quite funny to say in Taiwan, before they sign the contract, they take you to a karaoke bar and you have to sing with them. Guess what? You don't need no Taiwanese, you don't need Chinese, but you have to be there, okay? In Korea, it's different. In Korea, it's a very male-dominated society, okay? But they want to understand whether you're fit enough to do business. And that comes through having something called for lunch, something called bowlfish. Bowlfish is a very, it's a puffer fish. So the cleaver actually cleaves the inside of the mouth and it's raw and you've got to eat it. The reason they want to do it is because the jawline is extremely poisonous. So if the cleaver makes a mistake, nothing can happen. You just die. It's that toxic. Okay. So it being a very male-dominated society, okay, so you have to sit down with them and eat bowlfish for lunch. That's the way they do business out there.
Oh,
but that means you're man enough to do business with them.
Yeah, I mean,
Very male-dominated society, but that's how they do it. That's how it used to work. Now, I do not know today's Korea, South Korea. You talk about the Philippines, you talk about the Japanese part of it, you talk about Australasia, and also you talk about China, because I was there in Hong Kong. It's very different from the West. China is an area very similar to India, okay?
Okay.
We don't realize that, but if you've worked out there, you realize that they measure people and productivity on the number of keystrokes you do on a computer. Okay. And that's measured, right? So the way you talk to people in different parts of the world, the way you get business out of them, the way you get productivity out of them is very, very different. Specifically, if you look at Latin America, nobody works between 1 and 3. Okay,
Right.
Absolutely zero. You can break your head against the nearest wall, they will not work because that's siesta time, right? So I think all of these countries mold you, okay, into understanding how various people work. So, so when you have a cross-functional team across the world, you've got to be very condescending and very straightforward to understand before, it's not a carrot and a stick economy anymore. Okay, specifically, it's also coming in more and more with the Gen Y, Gen Z kind of.
Yeah, Gen Z.
Right? And I think that becomes very necessary, that the old ways are not going to work. Only the new ways of working are going to work.
Yeah, I mean, that is how everything is evolving nowadays. I mean, we've seen things, everything is changing. And thanks to last 18 months that, the digital transformation growth has gone exponentially high. Again, I'm going to just talk about your journeys and 50 countries. So now next question. So I don't know, but I have heard this and this part that, if you travel, this passport is very strong. That passport is very strong. I want to know how Indian passport is strong. I mean, how stronger Indian passport is, because I have read about this. I know a couple of things, but I want all the viewers to know because it's a very interesting thing. And we can get such anecdotes, such information, someone from who has traveled a lot. And luckily we have today, Mr. Khushru with us. So please tell us about the power of Indian passport.
I've had the opportunity to change my passport many years back, okay? Because I think I've lived about 8 to 11 years out of the country. I've had all the opportunities to change it, but I've never done it. And the reason is because I would say 2 incidences actually, when we say India is non-aligned, has actually helped me, okay? With, when you're sort of young and foolish, you go to these countries. But guess what? You have to do that. Um, the instance I would say is I was once in Beirut just after the Civil War, and at that time I used to work for HSBC. So we had a branch in the Middle East called the British Bank of the Middle East, and we wanted to reopen the branches in Beirut. Now, I used to go a couple of times, but at one instance, when I went there, there was a skirmish between Lebanon and Israel, and the planes started to bomb Beirut. And the only way to get out of there, because there were no planes, no nothing to take you out. So because I had an Indian passport, they agreed to drive me from Lebanon across the Bekaa Valley, which is at that time, I would say, full of Hezbollah terrorists. And they drove me over 1,000 miles into Damascus.
Safely,
because I had an Indian passport. I have till date never given up my Indian passport, okay?
Yes.
Because I believe that, being in a non-aligned country, you're not in the eyes of any people who, and I still remember the word they used to call us Indo. Indo means Indian.
Okay.
Okay, in their own language, in Arabic, basically. And well, I've come out of it safely, okay? And from that day onwards, it's just stuck in my mind that that's something which I'm not going to give up.
Yeah, exactly. All the viewers, those are watching and have the tendency of criticizing, Indian things, please do watch this bit. It's very important because it saved your life. Then it means something, right? It means something. Yeah. So let's go further into the memory lane, and I'm going to ask you that, if say we give you a time machine and you can select a certain date, and you can meet the younger version of Khushru. Okay. And when I say younger version, I'm just thinking about 8-year-old Khushru. What is the message that goes for young Khushru if we give you the time machine, and what advice that you would want to give to yourself?
Be happy, be carefree, okay, enjoy your life, because you only live once, okay? And that's the message I would say, that if I ever had to go back, believe me, I would go back, okay? Those were the carefree days, without mobile phones, without requiring to answer
internet connection
or internet connections. You had that phone which, if you drop it on your leg, it will break your leg, not the phone, sort of thing, right? So I think that is the memory I would have, and I would go back in the blink of an eyelid,
like just right away. Right away. Yeah, that's a very interesting piece. Before we move to our next segment, just one thing that you've seen the world, you met so many people, different mentalities, different cultures. You are into sports, you know the importance of it. Just sum it up and give us one not formula, but your recommendation to the millennials, the Gen Zs. Okay, those who are extremely busy and they have chosen their different path to lead their life. But I think there are a few things which are standard. Like our parents, they give us so many advices which are standard, which wherever you go, those are the right advices. Or one key advice that you would want to extend to the millennials and the Gen Zs of the world.
I would say, do what you believe gives you pleasure. Don't do things which you're forced to do. Don't go into careers just because there is money, okay? Right? Do what you believe is right, and do what you believe brings pleasure to you, okay? Because drudgery just reduces your lifespan and also increases your tension in life. So basically, do what you enjoy, okay? And specifically to the millennials, unlike, I would say, our generation or my generation, okay, where at that time you either became a doctor, an engineer, or or something else, right? Okay, or maybe an IAS officer. Today, the entire world has opened up. Okay, it's like a mushroom. You take what you want, you drop what you don't want. Okay, live your life with a smile on your face.
Yeah, and that is something I can definitely relate to. The sorry, but if I may sound incorrect, but still you have that childlike charm in you, which is
Thank
very, very difficult to get. I mean, my mom's complaint about me that he says that, no, Rishikesh, you don't look 35, do something with your style and do something with your things. But I want that, but it's very difficult for to get that and to carry the charm. Maybe your state of mind, the way you approach things
Yeah.
have helped you. Let's go to another segment where we have another expert. Now let's get into the technical bit of it, where I have a zero knowledge, but I enjoy listening to these conversations. Again, I understand so many things. We have with us Mr. Aditya Agarwal, who's the head of large enterprises, Lenovo India. Hi, Aditya.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. I'm good. Glad. I'm just excited again for this segment, because in this next 10 minutes, I learned so many things. So one question to both of you, and then you guys interact for about 10-15 minutes. But I'll start with one question, and then you guys can carry on. So this goes to Aditya and Khushru. We have seen exponential growth in the digital transformation process in last 18 months or 2 years, and things have evolved. Many things have taken a different shape altogether, but again, your output is same, because you're doing your business, you're getting your things done. As an end user point of view, okay, end user, I mean, from a layman's perspective, I mean, normal user of all the technologies, what do I expect? What's going to happen next? Because we've seen the introduction of online platforms. We have seen new laptops, new gadgets coming in place where they work like a mobile phone. Okay, so we just wanted to know, from a layman's perspective, what do I expect? So Aditya, you would want to start, or Khushru, you want to start?
We can have Khushru start. I'm sure I'm going to learn something and then add it to my points.
It's learning for me. Please, anybody can start.
So I think the concept of a mobile technology, okay, so the mobile which you carry in your pocket is more powerful as compared to the power of the computers, which they put the first man on the moon. All right. So the power of the mobile today is going to extend itself even towards what we can see within the industry, is that the pandemic has put a different caveat to the way specifically sales and marketing is done. And I would like to touch upon that. The pandemic brought in a situation where people were completely housebound. Okay, they couldn't talk to people outside because they were scared. They would not invite people into the house because they were scared. So how do you approach all of this? Okay, in fact, specifically coming from a sales and marketing company, you have to approach that with empathy. And the empathy is that a face-to-face conversation, just like the way we're having today. Because I can see you, you can see me, you can see the expressions on my face. And I think the video conferencing, contactless environments are going to become more and more, and they're going to propagate more and more. Okay. And I think that's where the world is going. So let's say if I have to, and I'll leave it to Aditya also to talk about it. But if I have to see a new product, would I want to go into a shop and touch it? I would not. Even right now, okay, even after 2 jabs of the COVID vaccine, okay? So how do you do it? And that's where technologies like the augmented reality, virtual reality, are going to start playing a very, very important part in our lives going forward. So that's where the way I see it, okay? Extremely mobile, extremely digital. And I think this is where the companies need to understand that just being digital is no longer important. Doing it and changing the cultural aspect of the company to doing it digital is more important. Aditya?
Yes, I completely agree with you. And while we are a manufacturing company, but we're also a sales and marketing company. So I would say that, as you said, mobility, that is more and more important, right? So we are constantly looking at how do we, make a smaller form factor, but more powerful, right? So that it's easier. Today, anyway, space is limited, right? And people want to be mobile. Now, it's kind of ironic because people are in homes, right? And I'm still talking about mobility, right? But that is the trend we are seeing. So, for example, if you take tablets or laptops, we are looking at foldable ones, right? Where you can fold the screen and just carry your laptop with you. No need to carry a 13-inch form factor. It can become a half form factor. Second, what you touched about is this whole remote working, making it work, and not just working. You gave the example of a product, right? That if you have to see a product, what do you do, right? You can't go walk into a store and and we see that every day. In the earlier parts of pandemic, what we saw is our sales guys setting up demo centers at their homes, right? So if a customer would call them saying that, hey, I want to see this product, forget about touching it. At least I want to see how does it look, how high it is, how flat it is, how thin it is, right? So people started doing that. And our job here is to make that seamless and secure, right? Because what we are seeing is that with more and more decentralized computing happening, security is a big risk. So it's about marrying this mobility, security, and making this remote work. This remote is here to stay. I mean, doctors remote, right? Working remote, studies remote. This needs to, this will stay even after the pandemic. This is something that will not change, and it's very, very difficult in sales and marketing, right? We are an acquisition engine, like you, right? You acquire customers on a daily basis, right? We need to figure out that how do we acquire customers, how do we talk to them in the best way, and some of these conversations are very technical, right? And India is used to face-to-face. For whatever reasons, we like to meet face-to-face, know the person, get into that trust before we, because we move ahead. So totally with you that this is a trend that we see at a layman's perspective. And last one is Internet of Things. I know we keep on talking about it. It is slow, but it is catching up, right? There are people who want to control their geysers from their phones, want to control, music, lights, and these solutions are available in the market. That's again a place where we think that the future is moving towards.
Agree.
So that was Khushru for you guys. I mean, a gentleman, a sportsman with a childlike charm. He carries an aura that depicts simplicity and clarity of thoughts. He's an inspiration for all Gen Zs or millennials that we call it. Thank you, Khushru. Thanks for your time. And there are so many things. I mean, 20 minutes, they don't justice to this conversation and the experience that we have. But again, thank you for your time. We'll catch up soon, maybe season 2, maybe. I don't know. Aditya, what do you say? Season 2? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And then maybe we can do a country series for you. Yeah. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.